I wanted to have a share with you one of the parts of my routine. I've shared about the expansion. I've shared about the 100 plus books this year. I stopped tracking. And self-development growth, as you know, Yolo Ave, road least travel, that's what I'm committed to. So I just finished a book and just picked up a book that I put on pause a couple months back. But I've been diving into Sadhguru. And so if you know anything about him, he's the author of Inner Engineering. He's a yogi, teaches a lot of Sanskrit, yogi principles, obviously. They're really huge in the metaphysical space and some sound wisdom, sage knowledge. And I've enjoyed recently, I've heard about him years ago, but actually taking on his work I never looked into. It occurred as another thing to do. This was in my masculine phases. And now that I'm diving into my feminine, in the metaphysical expansion, studying, channeling life, energy, seeking to become, to be. There is no becoming. Seeking to be in a non-dual way of being through life. And to share like what that means for me is, it's sound principles and things I've heard before, but I now have a perspective that they seem to be a lot more applicable, a lot more appropriate, a lot more time sensitive, and a lot more digestible, in such that metaphysical, divine feminine is really the area of, it's a way of being, so not in the doing. And the way of being, starting with even what I touched on, journaling, being present every day to what I'm grateful for, being present to what my goals are, visualizing them daily before I go to bed, connecting and feeling to what they will be like, being in a meditative state on a daily basis. And, personally, my journey for meditation, it's been years of developing where I am now, and I've always valued it. But from 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes being a challenge to exercise that muscle, and now in the space, especially this year, 30 minutes is like the requirement. That's light work. Let's just get into it. And what I really love about this journey, YOLO, and finding my experience, what I found through experience, no matter what I do, no matter what I take on, no matter what I learn and study, the map is not the territory. Famous phrase from NLP, Neuro Linguistic Program. It's the context that the information, the book knowledge, is not the be-all, end-all. Is not the full experience. You have to experience doing it. You have to know. You have to, the full sides of it, right? The knowledge and the doing, the logistics, why we do the thing, what you learn, the data and information you take in, is only half of it. You can believe a thing, understand a thing, comprehend a thing. However, until you flip it over into being, the divine feminine space, get into your body, go out and actually experience it, you don't actually have the whole picture. So what they say, knowledge is one thing, applied knowledge is something else. The masculine and feminine together is the way I've been breaking it down and explaining it through those filters. But when you take it on and do it, right, this is why what I've learned through business, and this is why I say it's overarching in life. I've learned it through marriage, I've learned it through parenting, I've learned it through relationships. When you experience and do things, I learned it in communication development. The experience is not the map. When you get to the territory, you can look at a map that tells you you're going to go over a mountain, you're going to go through a river, you're going to go through a forest, and when you get to that territory, these woods is dark as fuck. I can't hear shit. These trees and leaves are blocking all of life. It sounds quiet and isolating and scary. This water is freezing cold. It is not a Bahama breeze. This mountain, the air is thin up here. I'm tired as fuck. Blizzards keep coming every day. The map is not the territory. So I say all that to say experiencing something is so much more powerful. And what I find through being in these ways, hearing about Sadhguru, hearing about inner engineering, it sounds like, oh, yeah, well, I know about meditation, I know about yoga, I know about ... However, to experience, to have the muscle exercised, that 30 minutes of meditation is a necessity, a daily requirement, and light work, the being of washing the mind, putting it at ease, being still, feeling an experience of how that computes, compounded through a day where your energy has been set to what you journal and focus on, appreciation and gratitude, being still, being calm, knowing that you're perfectly whole and complete, that's a different experience. That not directly because I meditate for 30 minutes, I am able to manage and deal with the challenges of life differently like medicine. And it is medicine that because I had that quiet time, I'm a little less stimulated by the poke of the stresses and stimulators of life, the experience of it. And through that, I say all that to say, in my journey of going from 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes inconsistency to religiously, rigorously meditating daily for this long, the experience of it is, well, what actually works? Do you do it with your eyes closed or your eyes open? Do you do it seated or laying down? Do you do it in a quiet place, or does all the noise matter? How long do you do it? What are the breathing patterns? There's lots of teachings and knowledge out there. And what I find in every area of life, business, family, communication, familial, professional, whatever, going out and actually experiencing it, I find my own groove. So this is where I say I'm confident in what I do in business, not because of degrees, not because of things on the wall. Remember the 40-40 club. I've never been out to get the piece of paper. Now I am going to school for psychology because it's what I'm interested in. It's what I already do. Well, let me get that accredited along with it. Let me go learn the more expansive, well, what all is in the book, while I've been applying in my niche, in my work, in my coaching, to also know as much as possible. It all complements. One's not better than the other. Specifically to the meditation, specifically to tuning back into inner engineering and Sadhguru, I'm in the place now where my experience of it is more than just getting the knowledge, the download, the data, flipping through a book and then moving on. It's actually taking it into my life and receiving it. So that's my own personal experience, practice, and journey, and then bringing it back to Sadhguru. I just finished his book, Karma. Last week, I read Inner Engineering and a couple of his side channels. He's got one more, I think Death is another. He's got a few. There's several other side books, and for the last week or two, another daily practice is the Power Up, the work about what you say when you talk to yourself, what self-talk. I call it Power Up programming, the programs that we take on in our language that create our world. It's the science of metaphysics, as I would call it. So in the realm of Neville Goddard, but a lot more experimental, a lot more by the numbers, analytical, pragmatic. Anyway, inside of Sadhguru's work, what I've learned and experienced, and I want to do I'm doing a long-winded book summary of the book Karma that I just finished, and his views. I'll get to that, my summary of it. But what I like about Sadhguru's principles is, one, he says all the things from his books, his jokes, his stories. It's fairly simple. He keeps regurgitating it and all of his information. So when I listen to snippets, speeches, podcasts, interviews, I'm hearing the same stories, the same pieces over and over in a concentrated saturation. That's how I tend to consume information. Another great creator earlier this year connected with metaphysics, Joe Dispenza, who I mentioned, and his meditation practices, which are so powerful, and another scientific approach to the language. He also gets heavily into controlling the body, what we think, what we feel, what we say, and tapping into the body in meditation. Another day I'll go back to what I got from his content. But Sadhguru talks about principles very detached, disassociation, and that's where I speak to seeking of non-dual being. We have the spiritual and we have the physical sides of life, and to not be in that duality, that I, Dwayne Langham, am this body you see before you in this life experience, my human presence in the physical. And what makes my personality, my character, beyond my life experience is the spirit that came here before, Alpha and Omega, beginning and end, small g God, controlling all of it, my life experience, what it all looks like, how I perceive the world. That perception is what's so important, because when you are non-dual, it's an understanding of really tapping into God, all the abundance, all the love, that there are no real problems and challenges, is that our human perception, our human experience of individuality, of lack, of scarcity, being separate from God, from life, from the universe, from source, from everyone else. And in that non-duality of just acceptance of everything, I say all that to say as a precursor, because in his book Karma, it really breaks down not just this, I'd say, Western interpretation of karma as coming back to life. What you've given out before comes back in a context in your next life, and that is karma through reincarnation. His interpretation of karma, for some reason what keys off in my mind is dharma, actually. But it's actually more like, if you will, an avatar or an elo system, a rating or rank of how much positive and negative energy you are carrying with you throughout life. And this is your karma. So yes, do unto others as you would have done unto you, the golden rule. What you give will come back, law of attraction, law of vibration, law of frequencies. Karma, as he explains it, as I perceive it, is really our energetic tie to how we perceive life. So the meaning we associate to losing a job, negative circumstances, is not that thing happening that dictates our life experience. It is how we perceive it, how we experience it. If you become infuriated, the best way, actually coming on the way to this coffee shop, to the turn on the freeway, service road, no lights, straight shot. That's my theory. I'm a driver. We'll get on there. There's been an accident on the service road. So as soon as you turn the corner that you couldn't to get on that road, a parallel street with a bunch of lights that typically would be slower is now much faster because the service road is bumper to bumper traffic for the next mile. 5-8 minute delay. So now by default, road rage, gotta go there in a hurry. The common tied up in life Western practices we have would have you infuriated. Gotta sit still. Like a child, an adolescent. This is boring, this sucks, I hate traffic. All this exaggeration, exacerbated feelings and emotion. And that perception gives you the experience. That perception gives you the energy. This sucks, I hate. Frustration, anxiety, stress. And that is the karma you are now holding and going through life. Whereas he talks about car commercials. The very same principle, sitting inside your car, going somewhere. Advertisers are marketing cars because of their premium textures, quality sound system, the features and benefits, the luxuries and amenities, heated and cooled seats, the new ingredients basically they put inside the car, not the specifications. If you're a gearhead like myself, you actually do appreciate those things. However, if you look at that, if they're marketing how supple the leather is, how smooth the ride is, that's all in the experience of this luxury, what was it before, horse and carriage? This luxury carriage that you have. If that was the case, you're paying, spending your money, investing beyond the status conversation that you get from the type of car that you have. You're paying because most of our vehicles in common modern culture is not a point A to point B solution or equation. It's an experience of how much I love this experience, treating yourself, feeling good, having the biggest, best, baddest technology, the newest, everything available. So that same turn now on a road with traffic that has you bogged down an extra 8 minutes should be bliss, technically. This is another 10 minutes you get to enjoy that luxury cabin that you paid for in the car that you love. Technically, right? And that's really the context of karma. Same experience, and you can interpret it and experience it in different ways. And that, being the karma that you carry around, is going to give you the life experience right here and now. Not in the afterlife, not in the reincarnation. The karma, by their beliefs, is what you're taking around and experiencing in life, what you're giving to your life and giving back to yourself. So yes, to others, do unto others as you want done to you, but also what you do to yourself, how you interpret your life experience is also a factor of how you experience, perceive, add to, compound interest your life, making it better, making it a worse experience. All in all, it's very in-depth, very thorough, brings on all the principles, laid out into a book in detail, and I would definitely recommend, if you hear anything for yourself, check it out. But that's Sadhguru's book, Karma, my summary of it, and how I see and interpret it to life. Just finished reading the book, and it is perfectly on time, as many things this year are in my metaphysics journey. But it's perfectly applicable, and I love having the thought as soon as I'm in traffic, and where there was for me immediate, damn, one more light down, and we get there in 2-3 minutes. Now again, I actually clocked it. I looked at it to see how bad it was. Looks horrible. Bumper to bumper, who knows how long we'll be here. This might be the next 20-30 minutes. We got through it it was 10:09, it was 10:16 by the time we got past the accident and everything moved up. So 7 minutes of added trouble, travel time, frustration, whatever. And said another way, that was an additional 7 minutes to enjoy conversation with my partner, to enjoy driving, which I'm a wheelman, I love doing, to enjoy this luxurious experience inside of the vehicle. But it's all perspective, it's all energy, it's all karma. So be mindful of the karma you put out in your life, because it always comes back. I am complete.